Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Our 5 Adventures. We are on the final child, Landon. Many of you that have followed our channel for a while, you already know Landon is special needs. He is technically in 7th grade by age, but he has Digeorge syndrome with a mild autism as well, and he is developmentally not at a 7th grade level. The school 2 years ago, before we pulled him on, started homeschooling, had him doing 1st grade curriculum. He was reading picture books, he was doing simple addition and simple subtraction. That was it. That was it. No spelling, no English, no history, no science, and not exceeding to a more difficult level of math or reading. So last year we homeschooled and we started him at grade 2 math and started working on Explode the Code. By the end of the year he was reading more or less at a 3rd grade level, and he was doing 3rd grade math. He hadn't finished 3rd grade math, but he had started it. He was about a little over a quarter of the way done with 3rd grade math. He had done multiplication. So now this year, we are throwing more subjects at him, as well as continuing to push through Explode the Code and math and working on what we need to work on. He is teachable, very teachable, but he is definitely way behind his grade level. So his curriculum is all over the place. There's some 1st grade, there's some 2nd grade, there's some 3rd grade. We're going all over the place. There is no set age, grade, or anything for him. He has special needs. We are doing the best we can to try to bring him to the highest level he can be, as well as try to catch him up with his peers in the process. So we're going to dive in and I'll show you what I picked out for him. Let's do this. So for starters, like I said, we've got Explode the Code. Let me fix this. We're a little bit crooked. Explode the Code, I really liked last year. I loved how it worked. He got to book 4. He had gotten about a quarter of the way done with book 4. But I decided to start from the beginning of it since we didn't finish it last year. So we will be starting from the beginning of book 4. I like this book. I really do. I cannot say enough praises for it. It works really, really well. It's like as they go into levels, when you start out, it's very simplified. Gradually gets a little bit more challenging, but you do a lot of repetition to learn the words. You're learning how to read it, you're learning how to write it, learning how to spell it in the end. This is getting into more like 2-syllable words like thankful, sickness, and all that stuff. It's no longer dog, cat, all that like the very beginning books do. So it's a lot more challenging, but it's teaching reading, it's teaching spelling, and also a little bit of vocabulary. I love this book series. I cannot say enough good about that series. It has 8 books to it. We're on book 4. So hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be up to at least book 6 or 7. That's my hope, because it's getting a little more challenging. We have Easy Grammar, which is just a daily grammar. Grade 2 is what I chose for that. It's very simplified, capitalization, punctuation, stuff like that. It's just getting into the nitty-gritty of it. Grade 1 seemed a little too easy. Grade 2 is going to get a little challenging, but he needs to start learning the basics of writing. So we got grammar grade 2. Then we have, for spelling, we have Spelling Workout A, which is basically grade 1 spelling. I decided to go as low as possible with that, just because it's easy. So like the first week words, or not the first week, but lesson 6, we have tub, bus, bat, see, sit, and us. Simple words, right? But it's teaching him spelling. We're going to start with grade 1 and move him up the levels as we go. But that's just, again, very simple little project lessons that they do each day to learn the words. And then they do the spelling test. So that's grade 1 spelling. Like I said, we're all over the place. We have, for reading, I got the grade 2 180 days of reading. That means basically there's 180 days of school. Each day there's a reading passage that they read, and then they do the questions. Very simple book, not very hard. But the passages are short little paragraphs with multiple choice questions to go with it. I liked this book last year with Troy. I decided this would be a good book with Landon. So we got grade 2 for Landon this year to try. Then we have his math, which same book series we chose last year. Where, like I said, he started this series. So he's already done some of the work in this series. I don't know what I got on this book. Where is he? Where is he? Thought he started this series. Maybe he did start this series. Maybe he did. Okay, so he's back here in the multiplication already. So we're on time. He was on time. I think the thing that I did is we kind of skipped over a couple things because he understood it too well. We didn't have to fully cover it. So we started where he was at. We had done tests to see if he was okay. When we saw that he was good with the test, we just moved on to the next chapter instead of studying something he already knew. So that's why that book is like so confusing for me. But the Math Mammoth, I liked the series. This worked well for us last year, so we just stuck with it. For science, this is a little bit simplified of an approach. It's a 7-subject science portfolio, Minecraft edition. This is basically, it's got the table of contents, you got plants, you got elements, you got minerals, weather, matter and energy, world of animals. So you go into each individual section. So plants, botany. It tells you the definition of botany. You pick out 4 books from the library about botany, and then you read them. So that's illustrate which books you chose, and then you outline the book you read, and outline again right there. And then you got the notes, you got the plant cell, notes. So basically you're reading about the stuff, and then you're filling it out. You watch a botany documentary and tell what you learned. Science experiments, comic strip you can draw on it. So it gives you a daily exercise to go with these books that you're reading. And it teaches you about botany by reading small individual books instead of having a regular textbook. I don't know how this will work. We'll try it out. I kind of like the idea, but maybe it won't work well. We'll see. And then social studies, it's going to be 2 simplified books. It's like grade 1 and grade 2. We got some hands-on, simple lessons about social studies, the land. And then America, My Country. Our American Heritage. Again, very simplified lessons. So, we're just going to do the simple lessons on those. I'm wanting him to start learning social studies and science, but I want to keep it simple right now. Math and reading are obviously my #1 priorities with him. We got to get that, and spelling is getting to that point because he needs to be able to spell. So that would be my curriculum I chose for Landon. Like I said, I'm very focused on his reading and his math, more so than anything else. He needs to learn social studies, he needs to learn science, he needs to learn the basics. So we are going to introduce that this year, but I am mostly focused on getting him caught up on the basic essentials that he will need to live. He will need to know how to read, write, spell, and do math. Quoting science and social studies isn't necessarily going to help him survive. Granted, there's a lot of necessities that if we don't learn history, you repeat it, and science has a lot of essentials that you can learn to survive through science. So they both are helpful, but he has to be able to read, write, and do math first. So we're just trying to catch him up. Like I said, when they come out of general education, ever since they did the No Child Left Behind, a lot of children are getting left behind, kind of contrary to everyone's belief. And children with special needs are always left behind. They're harder to teach. I get it. But teachable children are being left behind, forgotten, swept under the rug, and just turning into another paycheck. So now, of course, I didn't realize this until he was a lot older than he should have been. And I'm left picking up the pieces and trying to teach a child that is already in 7th grade and trying to catch him up when he was only at a 1st grade level. It's not an easy task. You know, we all wonder if we're doing the right thing by our kids. And those of us with a special needs child, I think, wonder that much more. Everything we do, we wonder if it's going to help them in life or jeopardize them in life. I can hands down say I feel homeschool was the best option for him. If he would have continued on the path he was on, I don't know if he would have even been able to hold a basic job down. He's now able to do so much more than he was a year ago. He's got a long way to go. But when you realize that sometimes these schools utilize the child as just another paycheck, and they quit trying to push them to their maximum potential, it is a rough one to swallow, especially when it's your child. The school had changed him from a diploma track to a certificate of completion track. I was never for that idea. They switched it under the table behind my back. That was kind of a final straw for me, especially when we saw the minimum amount of work that they were putting into him through the first year that COVID came out. The virtual learning that we had to do for, the last month of school, month and a half. He was doing nothing. Nothing. He was regressing terribly the little bits he knew. All I can say is if your child has special needs and you're scared to pull them out of the school because you don't know if you can teach them to their potential, you're afraid you're going to fail them. You're afraid that you're going to take away something that they need in the school. Sit down. Look at what they're learning. Is it the maximum potential you think your child can achieve? Is it up to par with their grade level? How teachable is your child? Because I seriously thought the school was doing what they could for my son. I thought they had the best interest of my child at heart. I never questioned them. To find out that my child had so much more potential than they ever allowed. You can teach your child. You have the best interest of your child at heart. It's not easy. Some days it's full of meltdowns by both the child and yourself. But you will never give up on your child like school systems will. So if you're just not homeschooling out of fear that you will fail your child, just think about it for a little bit. Has the school already failed your child? The school already failed mine. I'm picking up the pieces now. Don't doubt yourself. You care. You want what's best. And you will do absolutely everything in your power to make sure your child succeeds. You can teach them. Just remember that. Have a blessed night, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.